Hello, my name is Nabil Kiar. I want to make a video about DoorDash for newcomers to the platform and for tips and tricks for people that have been doing it for a while. I want to break this video down to 4 parts: what to do before the delivery, what to do on the way to the restaurant, what to do on the way to the customer's location, and what to do after you have successfully delivered the item. Before I begin, I just wanted to talk a little about my experience with the gig apps. I did Postmates in the Washington, D.C. area for 2 years, and then for another 6 months in the Raleigh, North Carolina area. And now I've been doing DoorDash for 6 months. I've done about 5,000 deliveries on Postmates and about 1,000 deliveries on DoorDash. The only reason I stopped doing Postmates is because, well, they shut down. I've never done Uber Eats or Grubhub, so can't really talk about those. In this video, I'll primarily be comparing DoorDash and Postmates. So, for starters, the biggest difference I noticed between the two was with Postmates, the customer tips you after the delivery, and with DoorDash, the customer tips you before the delivery. There are rare cases when the customer will tip more, but for the majority of the time, whatever amount you see is the amount you will be getting paid. So, it has its pros and cons. With Postmates, I found I received much larger tips, much more frequently. I would regularly get $20 tips. Plus, with that tipping model, you'd be in more control of your tips. When I did deliveries for Postmates, I would ensure all the items they ordered were there, utensils, that they had napkins, etc. I would get there in a timely manner. I really made sure it was a great experience for the customer, and they would reward me for that. In comparison, there's no guarantee on the DoorDash platform that a customer will have a great experience. They don't know if they're giving a great tip to a driver that will deserve it or to a driver that will make them regret tipping. Aside from the tipping aspect though, I do find DoorDash to be much better than Postmates for the simple fact that with DoorDash, all the orders are already ready. You don't have to place the order and wait. So, let's get to the actual working portion. If you decide to do Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, or any of these gig economy jobs, I would suggest doing them as part-time only. But the tips I'm giving can be used for part-time or full-time. Although this is just a gig job, if you took the time to sign up for it, you should take it seriously. Any job that anyone does should be taken seriously with the utmost professionalism. If you're not going to take it seriously and work your hardest and try your best, then what's the point of even attempting it? So, before you even leave your house, before you even step foot in your car, it's always good to have your car already filled with gas to minimize brakes. The whole shift will be about maximizing efficiency. Keep in mind how you're dressed. I know this is just DoorDash, but if you're wearing shorts and flip-flops or you look like you're going out for a day on the beach, you don't look professional, and it could hurt your tips. If you need to go to the bathroom, do that before leaving the house, but it's not a big deal since nearly every restaurant has restrooms. Also, before leaving the house, you should know exactly what time you will be starting, what time you will be taking a break, what time you will be ending, and what your desired amount of money for the day will be. If you don't know these things, you will just be aimlessly driving around with no plan. If you're a coffee drinker like me, have a cup of coffee before leaving the house and make sure to carry water with you. You can't just drink coffee and energy drinks all day long, as appealing as that may be. You gotta make sure to drink a proper amount of water every day. I've seen lots of Dashers say just turn the app on while you're sitting on the couch watching TV, then when you get an order, you can leave. I don't think that's the best way to do it. In the effort of maximizing time, the best place to turn the app on is in your car. If you would like to schedule your Dash, go for it. I only work during breakfast, lunch, and dinner rushes, so there's no need to schedule. It's already busy. I can just hit the Dash Now button. I found the way the days go, regardless of what day of the week, generally speaking, is 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., busy, 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., not busy, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., busy, 2 p.m. to 4 p.m., not busy, and 5 p.m. to 9 p.m., going into more late night, it will be busy. And I found Saturday to be the busiest day of the week. So, you've gone through the whole checklist, you turned on your app, you got an order. Ideally, you've not started driving, your car should be off. And once you get an order, you can turn it on. So, ideally, wherever you live is where your first order will come in. If, for whatever reason, you do not want to work around the area where you live, then just drive to your desired zone and start there. There is a general rule of thumb I follow. I would never, ever, under any circumstance, accept an order that's less than $1 a mile. And I do not accept red card orders. The red card orders I've seen have been from CVS and Walgreens, where they want you to go in there and shop. Every time I've ever had one of these, it's always been the same situation. The store does not have the item the customer wants, so you have to call the customer and walk through the store with them on the phone with you, and in the end, the money is never worth it. Even if it's $2 or $3 a mile, I would avoid CVS and Walgreens orders that require you to shop. So, you've gotten an order, it's at least $1 a mile, you get to the restaurant. Now, in all my 6,000 deliveries, I've never used a hot pad. I know this sounds crazy, but I'm not a fan of it. I think on my first day or my first couple of days, I used it, but there were a couple occasions when I'd open the hot bag only to see the food has somehow flipped upside down and gotten messed up. So I avoid it. The designated place I keep the customer's food in my car is on the floor of the front passenger side. That way I can keep an eye on it, or even hold the handle of the bag to ensure it doesn't tip over while driving if need be. I never put customers' food directly on the car seat, as over time I noticed grease will seep through the bag and onto the seat. I think the only thing I use as far as DoorDash swag is the face mask, and that's because it lets the employees at the restaurant know why I'm there, or in other words, it gets right to the chase. So, you reach the restaurant. Ideally, you have parked in a legal parking space. If there are no parking spaces available, I would say park in a place that you can see from the window of the restaurant, because sometimes there's literally nowhere to park, and you can just keep an eye on it in case there's parking enforcement, and you can run out if necessary. So, I would say 75% of the time, the restaurants have the order ready, there's about a 5-minute wait. Let's say you get to a restaurant and they tell you there's going to be a 15-minute wait or more. My suggestion to you is to not just disappear out of sight. When I was new to dashing, I remember a hostess telling me to sit off to the side and she'll bring me the order when it was ready. Well, after waiting 20 minutes, I went back up to her and asked about it, and she apologized, saying she forgot I was there waiting. My strategy for waiting for long orders now is to sit or stand directly in front of the hostess stand. Just make sure they can see you at all times. So that way, there's a constant reminder to get your order to you. And I found it definitely quickens the process. So, the employee has brought out the order to you, and you're on your way. Some dashers insist on sending a text message to the customer, letting them know what's going on. Me, personally, I would try to limit my contact with the customer. The customer has no interest in speaking to you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Let's say, for example, you place an order at Domino's. Not through a delivery app, but you call Domino's yourself and place an order. Then, 15 minutes later, you get a phone call. Ring, ring. You pick it up and you hear, "Hello, this is so-and-so calling from Domino's." What is the first thing that goes through your mind? Do you think they're calling you to tell you everything is going perfect with your order? Probably not. For that reason, I would only contact the customer if I'm lost and I can't find their house. Anything more than that would be too much in my opinion. So, you've gotten the order, picked up the food, got it into your car, placed it on the floor in the front of the passenger side, and now you're within 2 minutes of the customer's home. When you're a couple of minutes away from the customer's home, that is when the delivery begins. If you want to make a good impression on the customer, keep in mind they're probably watching you from their window or even standing outside their house watching you pull up. So keep the music down as to not disrespect their neighborhood, and find their home as best you can. If you get lost, call or text the customer, If you can't get in touch with them, then you should get in contact with DoorDash support. In my experience, DoorDash support is phenomenal, and they usually pick the phone up right away. Make sure you have the DoorDash customer support phone number saved in your phone. Now, when you pull up to the customer's house, every step of the delivery process is all about maximizing efficiency and saving time. And this part of the delivery is no different. Have you ever seen how a cop gets out of a car when they're in a rush? The car barely comes to a stop, they slam on the brakes and roll out. Now, you don't have to take it that far, but you do want to park, get to their door, and back to your car as quickly as possible. We are trying to pack in as many deliveries as possible per hour. So, you get to the customer door, do not forget to read the instruction notes so you'll know, do they want you to hand it to them, leave it at the door, knock, don't knock, etc. And that is one DoorDash delivery in a nutshell. So, you get back to your car after the delivery and you're ready for your next one. Let's say you're in your delivery zone and another one pops right up. Great. But let's say this particular delivery was quite far and has taken you out of your desired delivery zone. You have two options. You can drive back to your original delivery zone and continue getting orders there, or you can end the dash and start anew in whichever area the previous delivery has taken you to. I would always choose the second option. I end dashes and start new ones all the time. It really doesn't faze me. The only time I would not start a new dash in a particular area is if I know that area is filled with bad restaurants and customers that don't tip. Then I would avoid that zone and go someplace else. But if you're new, there's no way for you to know this. You'll just have to do trial and error. You'll quickly get familiar with which restaurants know how to handle their business and which ones don't. Which restaurants have slow service and rude employees, and which restaurants are awesome. One thing to remember is you don't want to argue with any employees. You want to try your best to build a great rapport with these restaurants because chances are you will see the same restaurants and the same employees over and over again. But with that being said, this is business. We're not out here to make friends, so even if you don't particularly care for a restaurant or the employees in it, ideally both sides can still keep it professional. Now, if I can sum up the one thing that will help you make the most money with DoorDash in one word, it would be speed. If this were Postmates, the one word to help with Postmates would be quality. But DoorDash is different. Your tip has already been factored in. You've already been tipped. There's no guesswork whether you'll be getting tipped or not. So with that being said, you want to pick up orders and drop them off as quickly as possible. Some other topics I wanted to touch on, the type of car to use. The best car would be a sedan that gets great gas mileage. If you're dashing during the summer, I would say just put the windows down, avoid the AC since that'll burn up gas unnecessarily. If you're tall, you don't want a car that's too small because you will be in it for extended periods of time. Maybe nothing smaller than a Corolla. Don't forget to get out and stretch regularly, and if you're dashing full time, make sure to take a break so you can walk and stretch your legs. You'll be surprised how much of a difference this makes. Taxes. You're going to want to track your mileage and your expenses. I'm familiar with the various mile tracking apps. I'm not really a fan of them personally. I would suggest just looking at the odometer before and after your day of work, or resetting the trip odometer and writing that number down every day at the end of your day of work. What I did when I used to DoorDash was I had a separate bank account for all my expenses that had to do with DoorDash, including any car repairs, my cell phone bill, etc. Many things can be written off. And as far as how much you'll owe to the IRS, I'll tell you this. I'm not a professional accountant. If you want professional tax advice, I'll have to talk to someone else about that. But I can tell you, in my personal experience, you should not do your own taxes. I know TurboTax is free, but paying a couple $100 to a professional will be much more valuable. More so, whether you're doing Uber, Lyft, DoorDash, or any other gig app, once you write down the miles you've driven and all of your expenses, you should not be owing the IRS any taxes. But, once again, don't attempt this yourself. I would suggest finding a professional that can help you do all this. free food. I remember I heard a fellow Dasher of mine saying people that work in a restaurant for 8 hours a day get 1 free meal a day from said restaurant. And how he thought it was odd that DoorDash and Uber doesn't give us any kind of credit or discount for food. I can tell you, the one thing you never, ever want to do is steal the customer's food. Not only will it get you deactivated, it's just a messed up thing to do. So, I'm not suggesting this to anyone, but let's say hypothetically, there's a Dasher who's super hungry and has no money for food. Hypothetically, they can go to a zone and accept a delivery to a restaurant that puts, all their food on the shelf for anyone to grab at any time and grab an extra bag. And then just avoid going back to that restaurant for a month or so. But that's hypothetical, of course. So, to wrap this up, there are certain things you just can't avoid. If you go to a restaurant and they're taking a long time, you can't hurry them up. They will just go at their pace. All you can do is wait or unassign. I rarely unassign. I had an incident once where I accepted an order that had 4 large chocolate milkshakes. I sat them right there on my front seat. I took a sharp turn and all 4 flipped over and fell all over the place. I had to sign off and clean everything, which was a complete waste of time. Not only did it take time out of my day, there were stains in the car after that. So, if it's an excessive amount of drinks, there are times where I'll literally tell the restaurant, can't do it, sorry. Don't forget you're your own boss, so you're in complete control. Another thing you won't be able to avoid is if the restaurant forgets part of the customer's order. You should always have a glance at the order itself before picking it up. That way, if the restaurant forgets a drink, you can remind them real quick and they'll get it out for you. But for smaller things, like maybe they forget to put one of their side orders in there or something, there's literally no way for you to know that. 1, all the bags are sealed now because of COVID. And 2, even if the bags were not sealed, I doubt the customers would want us, looking through all their food. DoorDash customers can contact you up to 30 minutes after the delivery. So don't think just because you dropped their order off, that's it, you'll never speak to them again. If they text or call you saying the restaurant forgot some items, just apologize, even though it's not your fault, and direct them to contacting DoorDash customer support. To be honest, I don't know why they even contact the driver. I don't know if they think we're going to make a U-turn and go to the store for them. I think that's all I've got for you guys on this video. The most important thing out of all else is enjoy your day. You get to set your own schedule. You can listen to music, listen to podcasts, audiobooks, make phone calls all day long if you want. You get to see new restaurants in your city you may have never knew existed, among other things that are really, really fun about doing DoorDash. If you find yourself hating this gig, then I would say find the reason immediately. If you have a job you hate, there's very little you can do to control the aspects of that job. With the gig economy, you are in complete control of the entire day. So, the number one rule for the gig economy is enjoy every minute of it. And if you aren't enjoying it, find the reason and fix it. Alright, y'all. Until next time.